Good morning, the world. Yeah, wake your asses up, Theo says. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. Couldn't hear Ghost, but it's because Michael's not here to be our IT manager. I'm starting a movement, Fire Rick Renneria. How we doing today, Ghost?
I'm doing well, bro. Happy to be here with you. How about you?
Yeah, it's a great day to be alive. Michael Rasile would always say. Said it right this time, Michael. Week 4, we finally got it. Let's get to it. It's we're absolutely on fire. 3 straight weeks in a row of literally doing everything, GPPs, cash, whatever the case may be. All right, tons of breaking news, as you all know, so it's not breaking news. Let's start with this first game here that is going to play New Orleans at Detroit. New Orleans and plenty, total of 28.5, and Detroit 25.5. Ghost, start us off. What do you got?
Alvin Kamara is going to be the lock of the slate, especially in cash games. Pretty hard to get away from this guy. No Michael Thomas. They pretty much have no weapons there. He's catching the ball at absurd rates. He's outpacing some of the top wide receivers in the league from the running back position. 8,800 on FanDuel. I'd be comfortable paying a CMC type price for him when he gets into that $10,000 range when McCaffrey has those great matchups. So to play Kamara at 8,800 for me today is an absolute no-brainer. Especially if you're at cash games, you just got to hit the lock button no matter what other sacrifices that you're making in your lineup. You need them in every single cash game lineup. And even for GPPs, this game has a lot of appeal. You're looking at a New Orleans Saints defensive core that pretty much have no actual cornerbacks active. A lot of safeties are going to end up playing some cornerback, and you're looking at both Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones Jr. there that are in great spots. A lot of people leaning to Golladay, rightfully so. He looked great last week coming off of injury, and him and Stafford went right back to work. But let's not forget about Marvin Jones Jr. either, and of course TJ Hawkinson.
Hell yeah, I love that. All those guys, you could stack up Detroit like crazy in GPP. Stafford coming in at what, like 5% ownership? PJ Williams is the top corner for New Orleans today. That is a problem. So use all the – I mean, this is the cheapest. I wrote about this. This is the cheapest you'll ever see Kenny Golladay probably ever again. He's going to be popular today, but not like crazy chalk, not like a 30% DeAndre Hopkins last week or anything like that. He's still a top wide receiver, seeing 7+ targets a game, especially when he's healthy. My one concern here, though, is we saw Detroit just absolutely stick to the run last week, and what was still a pretty up-paced game, but that would be my one concern on both sides of this. Like, if you're finding a way to, like, say Kamara's not worth it in GPPs and cash, you just have to lock him in. He's going to be 50, 60% owned in cash games. He's got a 7.5 reception prop, which is something that DeAndre Hopkins and 2019 Michael Thomas would have, so that's absurd. So you got to play him in cash, but if you're trying to find some strategy to get off of him, my reasoning would be that Detroit is probably going to run the ball, but New Orleans has a really good run defense and no secondary. So I don't know. I think Patricia should personally just chuck the ball up and let Stafford and the boys do work because they have very talented pass catchers. The 3 that Ghost mentioned right there. I have interest in all 3 of them. All right. The new chalk this morning, Adam Troutman, who Sia Najad invented. I've never heard anybody ever talk about Adam Troutman before. Until Sia Najad mentioned it in like May when we were on Sirius, and he was trying to see if Troutman's draft worthy. I said no, maybe in like a dynasty, sure, but Troutman at minimum price 2.5K on DraftKings, 15% ownership. What I'm 100% out, but what's your call there? You could do so much with that lineup, but it's like if you do that, it's probably to afford Kamara, Cook, and Zeke Elliott or something like that, and just punt wide receiver. But I don't know. I'm not into it. How about you, Ghost? Talk me in, talk me out. Well, don't even talk me in. I'm out.
That's going to be a no from me. You already talked about the DraftKings side on FanDuel. The tight ends that I'm into this week are relatively cheap compared to other weeks. And I know he's sitting there at minimum price at 4,000, but we all know how much Sean Payton absolutely loves Taysom Hill. And Josh Hill is still there too. So the fact that we're naming some guys right now when we have other more consistent targets that are, only pretty much 900 to, I guess we could say maybe $1,500 more expensive than a guy like Adam Troutman. I don't see it on DraftKings for the punt if you're pretty much willing to risk getting a 0 in your GPP lineup because it means you're building a lineup with Zeke, Cook, and Kamara, and then you even manage to get some good wide receivers in there, then I mean, I'm all for it. But personally, I'm not going there.
All right, that is good for me. Taysom scores today. Yikes! All right, Rocker. It's probably. I mean, if there's any day to do it, but he's not a tight end on DraftKings and FanDuel. I guess if you wanted to play him in tight end, you could get crazy. But that is it for me. Any interest in Emmanuel Sanders, or just pretty much all Kamara?
All right. No, it's all Kamara for me, and more stacking the Detroit side, running it back with Kamara.
The model likes Emmanuel Sanders. I just want that to be known. I'm off of it personally, but you could do it if you wanted to. Next game, Arizona at Carolina. Whew, some good and bad chalk in this game. One thing I love right now is no one wants to play Kyler Murray. 50% of the field was on him last year, it felt like. Now he's projected for under 5%. You in on Murray?
Right now, I do have one GPP lineup with Kyler, little underweight compared to some other quarterbacks that I'm on, but there's there's pretty much at least one player at each position that I'm going to mention. Drew absolute ridiculous ownership numbers last week, and now all of a sudden nobody's playing them. The fact that everyone was willing to play Kyler Murray last week at 20, 30, 40% plus ownership, depending on what kind of contest you were playing. I don't see why you can't take a shot on him right now when he's coming in under 5% on FanDuel. We might have been a week early on the Kenyon Drake situation. I'd love to get your take on that as well. But we love to attack this Carolina run defense, so that might be the reason why people are kind of off Kyler. But Nuke is banged up, but you know what? It's professional sports. Every single athlete's always banged up, so I'm not too worried about that. I think Kyler still does work here. Not necessarily has the upside from every other matchup that he might get, both in weeks 1 to 3 and down the road here, but definitely viable for a GPP stack when you're talking about a guy that was 40% owned last week and now he's 4% owned.
Yeah, no, I think Kyler Murray's in a smash spot all around. Carolina's pass defense ranks 28th in pass DVOA, also 28th in run DVOA. So that is just, I mean, he's part running back too. So they're going to get in the red zone a lot. They have an implied team total of 27.5 points. Absolutely love Kyler Murray. I love DeAndre Hopkins now that he's, people are scared to play him with the injury stuff. Definitely in on Drake. 15% owned, I think, at 6K. He's probably a lock for cash games as well. For me personally, at least, I think his odds to score, they weren't that sexy. I think he's like minus 150. Mike Davis on the other side is, what is he? He's like minus 215. That's pretty crazy for Mike Davis. Minus 200. All right, so it went down a little bit. That I understand. He's just the only game in town there for Carolina. But DJ Moore coming in at 25% owned. What? Even higher than that. Sorry. All right. The field got more heavy on him overnight. So here's my analysis on that is Robbie Anderson's 5% owned. DJ Moore is damn near 30. Give me Robbie Anderson. If you're stacking up this game, if you want Kyler Murray, Hopkins, Drake, or Kyler Murray, Hopkins, Kirk, if you want to go back to Isabella, I would say don't do that. But if you're stacking Kyler Murray, you could play Kyler Murray naked too. We've seen that. He is a modern day Josh Allen and Mike Vick all combined in one with a better arm. But there's my tangent of the day that I'm just going off the rails. But DJ Moore, no, I'm 100% out on DJ Moore at 30% ownership in GPPs and cash. Sure, if you want to play him, that's probably good chalk to eat. What do you think there on DJ Moore?
I'm off it. I know you weren't on the call last night, our usual Saturday night calls, but it's as if you were. That was the recommendation that I made, was to pivot to Robbie Anderson. We ended up calling it in week 1 when he was coming in under 1% owned, and he has that rapport with Teddy Bridgewater. Mike Davis is getting CMC like targets, even though he didn't get those in week 1, which absolutely blew my mind, which is why I was off of him in week 2 and made me really frustrated. But now apparently, it has to be Mike Davis for Teddy Bridgewater to be chucking it down to a running back, apparently, over Christian McCaffrey. So he's soaking up a bunch of targets. Curtis Samuel's still there. Robbie Anderson is definitely a deep ball threat. I don't see it. The ownership is way too high for me. The target number was really low last week. I know in the first 2 weeks it was high, but again, I really don't see it this week.
All right. What the hell does this mean? Is that Gus Edwards? Pixie, what are you saying here? Gus Edwards is better than Kenyon Drake this week? I'm gonna take Drake.
I think he means Edmonds. I think he means Edmonds.
Okay, it's like I don't know what that means. That's a ballsy call though, Pixie. If you can get some odds on that, go take that because someone's gonna give you like 100 to 1, and you can take their money if you feel that way. Christian Kirk, I have a little bit of interest in at this price point. He is healthy, or not healthy, banged up, but good to go. I definitely think you could double stack Kyler, or I prefer just going to Hopkins, Kyler, and then getting a Mike Davis or a Robbie Anderson on the other side. Mike Davis is going to be over 30% owned, probably chalk you have to eat in cash games as well. So there you go. You can go Kamara, Drake, Mike Davis, and then load up some receivers and punt tight end. We'll get to tight end in a little bit, or you can pay up for tight end, whatever you want to do. That is it for me. I think Kyler Murray is way too underappreciated this week. It's a great spot for GPPs, great spot for cash for him, but there's other quarterbacks we'll talk about. Mike Davis is fine chalk for GP, or I don't know for GPPs. I'm underweight on him personally. Good for cash. Kenyon Drake, all about it. DeAndre Hopkins, yes. DJ Moore, no. Robbie Anderson, I think we're in on for a GPP. If you like this game, Robbie Anderson would probably be our call. Next game, we can keep this one quick. Baltimore at Washington. Baltimore's like a 100-point favorite, something like that. 5% on Lamar Jackson. Did that do anything for you this week or no?
Absolutely. I was pretty much went on a huge tangent throughout the week saying how Lamar's ownership kept on dropping. I thought it was absurd when he was coming in 8% owned, and now on FanDuel we're dipping into the 1.52% owned range. Ooh. I don't get it. 2% owned Lamar Jackson against Washington. They had one bad week last week. I don't understand how all of a sudden a player has one bad week and you just stop playing him. This is absolutely absurd to me. Lamar Jackson's coming in 2%. Mark Andrews is coming in roughly 5%, if not lower. It keeps trending down as I keep refreshing. And Hollywood Brown was at 2%, and now he's under 1. So if you could give me a Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews stack with an aggregate ownership of 10% combined, I am beyond overweight on this Ravens team. We've seen it week in, week out. Last season, we saw it in week 1. They just keep going. They put up 38, I believe it was on Cleveland. Lamar put up nearly 30 FanDuel points, didn't even play the fourth quarter. I love me some Ravens stocks today.
All right, so this is probably the public thought on this. So Rocker's right for sure. Baltimore's likely to be a blowout. You know, it makes sense to go Dobbins and Ingram. I would never play any of them in DFS just because you can't really project which one's actually going to go off, and they just split so much time. So, and we will see Gus Edwards. If Pixie had his coffee or not, I think he meant Edmonds, but Gus Edwards will be in play today too, not for DFS, but, you know, for the Ravens. So this is where Ghost is 100% right. The public is going to have Rocker's mindset right here. I'm not saying that you need to play Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, or Andrews, but you go back to, it's always, like he said, week 1 this year, week 1 last year, they do a ton of damage early. They want that game to be 30-0 at halftime, and then they could go to the running game a ton and get, you know, we'll probably see some RG3 today if this game's an absolute blowout. But week 1 last year, I think all of the GPP lineups that absolutely smashed were Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, or Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, because they don't take their foot off the gas, especially getting embarrassed by Kansas City. They need to come out with a bang. And would it surprise anybody if you look up at the top of the leaderboards and it's Lamar Jackson and Hollywood Brown, or Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and you're like, shit, how did I not have them when the whole field didn't have them? So that's kind of a good way to simplify it. It's like, would it surprise you if they went absolutely nuts? No. Lamar Jackson is still a top 3 rated quarterback in the model, regardless of the Vegas game script here of a huge lead. I'm with Ghost. I think I will have some Lamar Jackson, especially if just no one's going to play him. Like, the guy can go absolutely nuts. So I love that call, Ghost. On the Washington side, for Baltimore, it's only going to be Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews that we're interested in, right? Just leave it at that.
Yeah. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm not going to Boykin or Willie Snead. I'm not getting cute with it. I think the big guns come out today, and after an embarrassment on Monday Night Football, whole nation's watching, I'm expecting big things from this Ravens offense today.
Cool. I'm with you. And then on the other side, I really only have interest in Logan Thomas at the tight end. He has a crazy target share in that offense. Baltimore's weak spot is the inside of that defense. We've seen literally every single tight end have 5+ catches on them, I think, this year. So that is a really, really good spot there. Maybe not Austin Hooper, but that offense is not built for a tight end. So we can whatever. McLaurin, I'm 100% off it. I'm 100% off. I'm 95% off Antonio Gibson just because I'm a Gibson truther. I'll always play him in a lineup or two. Hope he gets some passing work finally because that's the only way he could do damage in this game. You're not going to run on Baltimore. Defenses, if you need to punt to Washington, I know Adam, our game-by-game breakdown guy, he has a good reasoning to have Washington. They don't have Chase Young. I'm not going to get that cute, but if you needed to save salary that much to jam in some other players, I guess you could do it and pray for a couple sacks, and maybe this game just turns out to be 21-0 Ravens, and Washington gets 5-6 points, and that's probably your path to success with them. I don't see them doing much other than that. Moving on. You cool with Logan Thomas, actually? Didn't get your...
Yes, I am.
I love, he's probably my most owned tight end.
My Lamar build is double tight end right now on FanDuel. So it is Lamar with Hollywood and Mark Andrews. And I did go double tight end there at the flex with Logan Thomas. Scary Terry is someone that he's banged up. Probably going to see a bunch of Marlon Humphrey. I'm hoping that they move him around the field. He could play the slot. He could play outside. So I'm hoping they find a way to get him open. And one guy that I did mention was Dontrell Inman, which is I love the comment that Rocker's making because we mentioned it yesterday on our call. Sims is out. He did get a bunch of looks in the red zone. And if Washington somehow finds a way to drive the field, even if it's just once, really wouldn't surprise me to see Dontrell Inman be on the receiving end of a touchdown.
Yeah, so Inman could have 3 catches for 14 yards and a touchdown. There you go, folks. If you want to punt to that, I'm 100% off. I don't see them ever getting in the red zone, but you guys get some crazy picks and they work out. So I'm not going to call you crazy, but you're crazy. Next game, Chargers, Tampa Bay. Not a whole lot for me in this game. I want nothing to do with Tom Brady or Justin Herbert. Running backs, it looks like it's Ronald Jones chalk week. Makes sense with Fournette out. No Melvin Ingram on the other side for the Chargers. What do you like in this game? I'm always interested in Mike Evans when there's no Godwin. And Casey Hayward is likely to cover Mike Evans, and that's a problem. Mike Evans has a lot of size on him. No one's playing Keenan Allen either. So if you think this game shoots out, it looks like most of the money in Vegas is on the under. Sharp money indeed is on the under. So I don't know. I just don't think I have much interest in this game.
It's tough for me to get a read on this game. There's a bunch of guys that we can make arguments to play them for exactly like what you said. There's no Godwin, so automatically Mike Evans becomes in play. Thank you for the comment. Our boy Stephen King, weather's bad in Tampa. Ronald Jones is there with Fournette out, so his snap share count probably increases drastically. Scotty Miller is someone that I can sort of get behind with Chris Harris out, the Chargers slot cornerback. So he might be able to get some looks. On the Chargers side, if this Tampa D-line ends up getting to Herbert early and often, Austin Eckler is probably going to get a bunch of dump offs. So he's viable. I just don't see anybody being able to run on this Bucs defense right now. Like you said, no one's talking about Keenan Allen. He's been an absolute target monster since Herbert took over, along with Hunter Henry over the middle. So I could get behind either one of those guys. Just for me in general, not that much appeal from this game as a standpoint, enough for me to stack it in a GPP. But if you are taking some flyers on some guys, Ronald Jones, Mike Evans, Scotty Miller comes to mind on the Tampa side. And then for the Chargers, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler is going to be virtually unknown. So I could get down with that if you see him getting a bunch of dump-off passes, and Hunter Henry as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely down with Hunter Henry for sure. You know how much Herbert likes to lean on him already this season. Keenan Allen, no one's playing him. So if you think this game has a little bit of pace, or that, like, the problem for me is I don't see Tampa Bay getting a big lead. I just think it's going to be kind of a nasty game. And as Stephen King said, it's going to be raining. Yeah, I mean, this is a really good thought, Thomas, here, that Eckler is interesting. You can't run on Tampa Bay, but they are giving up a lot of catches to opposing running backs, and we saw Eckler with 11 of them last week. That was insane, so good for him. That's how they need to use him. And yes, sir. Damn it, John Deere. You got me there. I was going to say, all right, my bold touchdown call of the week, O.J. Howard. He ran the most snaps that he's played, and I think the most routes run. He didn't do much with them the game that Godwin was out week 2, but I am in on OJ Howard if you want to get off Logan Thomas chalk or get up from Adam Troutman chalk, which doesn't make sense. Yeah, OJ Howard, I think he's a great GPP play. Not a great, good at most, because he wouldn't surprise me if Gronk got all the targets. It seemed like Gronk was the pass catcher last week, but Gronk looked like he was 55 years old. Did not enjoy watching him try to run down passes. Hunter Henry, yeah, I like that. But Keenan Allen and Eckler will probably be in my GPP pool, but I don't really like anything else in this game. If you needed Scotty Miller for salary relief, go ahead. But Bucs defense for me is probably just the play I like the most in this game. And it seems like they're pretty popular. Over 10% owned as a defense is a lot, but it's a rookie quarterback, and Tampa Bay is top 5 in both pass and run DVOA. Todd Bowles should be defensive coach of the year. Guy's a stud. So completely turned around a defense that was giving up over 30 points a game last year. So good for him. And they have so much talent with Shaq Barrett, Levante David, JPP. I guess he's still good, but that's awesome. I like that team a lot. All right, games that we could actually talk about. Seattle, Miami. If you guys got any questions too, let's go. Fire them up. It's just us talking all day. You don't want to hear us talk. You didn't come here to hear us talk, even though that's the sole purpose of the show. But get your questions in. All right, next game. Seattle, Miami. We got a total of 54.5. It went down a little bit. I think we saw 55, 56 damn near earlier in the week. Russell Wilson, Fitzpatrick. Yeah, Ghost, go ahead. Talk about this game. Every single player that has a jersey on is probably in play in this game.
You start the Seattle side. I'm completely cool with running both Lockett and Metcalf. Even in cash, my current cash build on FanDuel has both. They're by far the top 2 wide receivers in terms of ownership. So don't be afraid to use both, even though, we typically say avoid stacking or avoid multiple players from skill positions on the same team. This is an offense that it is the exception to that rule, especially going against Miami's pass defense. Russ is absolutely cooking in these first 3 weeks. Carson's a little banged up. Carlos Hyde is likely going to be inactive. So I think both QBs just end up throwing the ball all game long. So
Hyde's inactive?
I believe so.
Oh,
if somebody could confirm that for me while I keep talking about the Seattle and Miami side.
We need some boots on the ground in Miami.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Yeah,
Carson
let's go.
In, Roger says.
Yeah, I know Carson's in. I think Carlos Hyde is inactive. If someone could double check that for me. Lockett, Metcalf, fire it up. And then on the Miami side, I do like some Fitz magic today. I'm not sure where you stand on that, but I'm curious to hear a bit about it. Love your 2 boys in Preston Williams and Mike Gesicki. No Jamal Adams for Seattle. So that was my main concern with Gesicki, is if Jamal Adams was just going to absolutely ring his bell or on a crossing route over the middle. But that's not a worry anymore. He's way faster than Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner won't be able to cover him. And he does get some snaps in the slot there too, which we absolutely love to see. So Gesicki, Preston Williams, and of course Devontae Parker has the best matchup that he's had in the first 3 weeks here. Being on the outside, Seattle gets absolutely torched by outside wide receivers. So pretty much anyone's viable. Even on the lower side, if you want to play Myles Gaskin, I guess I could see it. The targets are high enough that he's in the conversation. I rather just target the passing game with the wide receivers and Gesicki, of course. But again, Gaskin has 16 targets in 3 weeks. So wouldn't surprise me to see him catch a ton of balls today as well.
All right, another bold call of the day. Carlos Hyde being out. Travis Homer has over 12 DraftKings points. 3x value. It's going to happen. That's not even a bold prediction. I'm going to guarantee that Travis Homer is a sleeper in GPPs if and only if your build is absolute sexy with him in there. So that means probably Kamara, probably like a Galladay on the other side of Kamara, just mini stack that game a little bit. And then you can go Homer and like Lockett or Homer and Metcalf to double stack that game or mini stack that game a little bit, and then go with your main stack elsewhere. Maybe your main stack's this game. Maybe it's Detroit, New Orleans. Maybe it's a game we'll talk about in a little bit. But Travis Homer, over 12 points, book it. So that and an OJ Howard. I want people holding me accountable in the Discord. If these don't happen, tear me a new one. I am all for it. Chris Carson's going to be out of my player pool. I don't know. I don't trust it unless someone tells me who's our Seattle guy. Where's he at? Pickett. Where's Pickett at? Pickett, what's going on in Seattle? Is Chris Carson going to have a full workload or what? let us know. Yeah, Lockett and Metcalf, probably the best wide receivers on the board, and they're at 25% ownership probably on both sites. So you're not getting any different there, but it just makes perfect sense. Byron Jones is out for Miami. Not sure on Xavier Howard, even if he is in, he's not the same guy that we've seen. He's got like 3 torn ACLs. Lockett and Metcalf are just freak of natures. Devontae Parker, absolute stud. Love that. Preston. And another disgusting call, Isaiah Ford, 3.7K. He will also get to that 12-point range. I'm going to go 11. 11 for Isaiah Ford. So, again, just absolute punt plays. You could pair up Isaiah Ford with Metcalf, a little mini stack there, Ford, Lockett, and then you could afford a ton. That's like 10.7K for exposure to one of the highest total games on the slate. You're likely is this the game that we want one guy on each side in every lineup we build?
I believe so, yeah.
All right. So we always try to find that game for you this week. I don't think it's this one, me personally. I think Seattle can absolutely rout them. I don't know. I don't think their defense is that bad. I was going into week 1 with Jason Mizrahi and talking about how good Seattle's defense was against Atlanta on the road on the East Coast. Similar setup to this, with a much better team in Atlanta, the offense in Atlanta. And they held them to like 9 points until the fourth quarter when they started playing prevent. Yes, Jamal Adams was on that team at the time, and Bruce Irving was still here. So it's a lot different defense, but I still trust the scheme, and I do not trust Fitzpatrick. So I'm starting to think that this game is a blowout, and we do not see a ceiling game from Russell. Maybe that's just me trying to talk myself off of a 20% owned quarterback, because I do that every week. And it's just, I hate playing chalk, but I don't want to say that they're not a good play by any means. So, yeah, Mike Gesicki, probably my favorite GPP tight end on the slate. Absolutely. Absolutely crushed the inside of Seattle's defense. Mike Gesicki is a slot receiver. He is not a tight end. And guess who played the slot last week for Dallas? It was CeeDee Lamb. He got bumped up and out of that game a little bit and hurt. And then what did Cedric Wilson do? Go look at Cedric Wilson's box score. Mike Gesicki is a better player. So if you need any reason to like Gesicki, there's no Jamal Adams to cover him. That is a absolutely great spot. Stix, preseason. PJ and Gesicki. I'm on Gesicki. PJ. Who's PJ? Preston?
I think he means Preston.
PW. The J and the W is not even near each other on the Ghost is drinking, or Rocker's drinking already this morning. I'm assuming that means PW. I do love Preston. I think you could play Myles Gaskin. I agree. There's just so many good plays on this game. But my bold calls are Homer and Ford hit 3x value. 2.5.
I do see a lot of people in the comments talking about Isaiah Ford. I like it too. The only reason why I'm slightly underweight, if that's even possible for a guy that's coming in at virtually no ownership there, but just in terms of underweight of who I'm stocking Fitzpatrick with in my GPPs, is because I much rather see Gesicki run routes out of the slot than see Isaiah Ford. But both are great plays. I'm really hoping we get to see Gesicki out of the slot than line up at the actual line.
All right, we got some questions on this game. Good. So here we go. Fitzmagic ownership on DK. You got FanDuel Ghost. FanDuel or DraftKings, it looks like right around 10%. So it's not crazy chalk, but I mean, if Fitzpatrick threw 3 picks and didn't do shit elsewhere, like, would that surprise you? Every single year we start to buy into Fitzmagic around this time. Like, he's going off for week 1, week 2, week 3. I'm like, shit, we got to start playing this guy. And then he just fades. I don't know if that is a trend that's going to continue, but there's so many other quarterbacks on this board that just make so much more sense to me, but I'm not going to talk you off Fitzmagic. I just personally do not like him. Better play in GPP, Drake or Henderson? Both. Sub 5%. Is he sub 5% on FanDuel?
Yeah, I have him coming in just under 4% right now with the latest.
Okay, well, on FanDuel, I would definitely entertain Fitz, and if he's contrarian, then sure. Parker or Williams from Dre. Dre crushed it last week too. Shout out to you. Yeah. Work. I think my go-to would be Parker, just because I think he's a more talented player, and Preston just doesn't seem like he's back to 100% after the ACL tear last year. I could definitely see them both scoring a touchdown. Preston's probably more of the red zone threat for me, but the volume's likely to be a lot higher for Parker. Isaiah Ford, hell yeah. DK or Tyler? Clayton, flip a coin, and then flip a coin another time and make a lineup with both. do one each and then both. right? Double stack with Russ, like they correlate together. Every single game when Russ is going nuts, they're both going nuts. So I think that's the best triple stack on the board, right? Russ, DK, and Lockett.
Yeah.
Easily. All right. Risk leaving Kelsey in this week. Sounds like they're going to play tomorrow night, right?
Right now, the game is slotted for Monday night from the last report that I saw. Barring any complications with COVID results, the game should be good to go tomorrow. So the first decision was basically Monday Night Football or special edition Tuesday Night Football, which we all would have loved. But basically, as long as there's no like Titans-esque breakout right now with either of those teams, then the game's good to go tomorrow night.
Yeah, these questions just suck. Like, I don't know. You can't sit Kelsey. So I would trust it, but I don't know. Don't trust anything in 2020. Not even your dog. All right. Ford going out of the slot. Going to go DK or Metcalf or Wilson, both, and then 1-1. So make 3 laps. Mention why I don't like Fitz. It could be crazy, but I can't make 3 bold predictions, but mild prediction. He throws 3 interceptions today. I'm going Ford Carson. That's ballsy. I like it though. Yeah, it's how you get weird in a GPP. Mixon or Drake GPP? Mixon for me all day. I thought he was going to be absolute chalk, and now no one's on him. Major stack for Las Vegas? Absolutely not. They have nobody healthy at all. LA Rams, no, they're a 13-point favorite. Buffalo, yes, we'll get to that. Chargers D and cash. If you have to, yeah, I'm okay with it. They should get a couple sacks, and Brady's not a world beater by any means anymore. So yeah, if the rest of your lineup's really good, Chargers D and cash is fine. I personally went to the Bengals, I think, in mine. Probably should go to the Chargers, but I don't know.
I did go Chargers on DK. On FanDuel, it's pretty easy to get Rams or Ravens, but on DK, I did find a way to get to the Chargers.
Sure. All right. Here's a great question. At what ownership do you start to get turned off by players in GPPs? For me, it's like 15, unless they're an absolute lock. Like Kamara, I'll definitely have him. But like DJ Moore at 25, no way. There's not when there's just so many good wide receivers. It all depends on who the player is, I think. But me with Kyler Murray fade last week is just because he was 20% owned and there was other quarterbacks on the board. So unless you think this player is irreplaceable, like it looks like Alvin Kamara is, but we also thought that with Derrick Henry 2 weeks ago and we saw what he did. We also thought that with Miles Sanders last week and he didn't do a whole lot. So it's a very bold stance to take to fade somebody at that ownership. But let's say Kamara gets a concussion on the first play, or Patricia just says, like, this is the only guy on the field that could beat us. Drew Brees is not going to stretch the field. So, it's not like, all right, let's just go man-to-man with Traquan Smith and hopefully he doesn't beat us for a deep touchdown. Drew Brees can't throw a deep touchdown unless he's holding back. I doubt that's the case because they could have used it against Green Bay. So that, like, I obviously don't pray for a concussion or anything like that or bank your hard-earned money on Kamara getting a concussion, but maybe think about it like this. Like Patricia, everybody knows Kamara is the only true threat on the Saints offense right now. So, Belichick did it to Josh Jacobs. Every time Jacobs went to the flats, there was 2 guys on him last week in New England. Patricia's from Belichick's book of defense. So I don't know. Like that's how I'm thinking of fading Alvin Kamara is because, all right, 2 of you guys are watching this guy like a hawk the whole game. He can get 8 catches for 50 yards. Don't let him in the box. Don't let him break a big one, but Detroit can't tackle. And Alvin Kamara is probably the most hard player in the NFL to tackle. Getting into it. All right. I love the questions. OBJ go off. I don't know. Probably. It's a great spot. I like Landry more at less ownership, but yeah, this is a really good spot for OBJ. You're just playing a player that is in a 70% run offense. So I like Chubb more, but Mixon and cash all week I was yes, but then with the chest injury, I don't think you need to. You can just go to Mike Davis or go up to Drake or play Henderson is probably safer, especially with the ownership. Like play whoever's the highest owned. It looks like Mike Davis. In cash, play the highest owned. OBJ or Keenan Allen GPP. Ooh, Ghost, that's you. I like OBJ, but OBJ is super popular.
I was about to say Keenan probably safer floor, but we don't just go for safe floors and GPPs. I'll take OBJ.
All right. GPP, Dak, Cooper, or Wilson Lockett. I like Wilson Lockett. I'm not a Dak guy. Never have been, but he goes off every time and costs me an extra 70 grand last week, but whatever. Talk about that another day. Las Vegas stack, no. Take Carr, hell no. Is it okay to stack Burrow, Mixon, and Boyd, but no Jacks? Yeah. You don't always have to have someone on the comeback, especially this week when there's so many games over 50. But if like Burrow and if the Bengals and the Jaguars were like that 56-point total, and that was like the game of the slate, like last week with Seattle, Dallas, and the week before that with Atlanta, Dallas, the week before that with Atlanta, Seattle, like that game, we have to have people then double stack it for sure on the other side. But you could play James Robinson on the other side. I'm not super in love with it, but no, Lindsay, I have tons of lineups that have just Burrow and Boyd and Burrow and Green, Burrow, Boyd, Mixon, whatever you want to do. Yeah, you don't have to have it because if Jacksonville is doing something on the other side, Burrow and Mixon and Boyd are going to have to do something. They're not, if they're up by 30, then that stack doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if you think Jacksonville keeps it close and keeps the pace going, you don't have to have someone on the other end. Not on this slate, at least. Too many good games. Chris Carson, 4 catches to his rushing total. I mean, if that happens, you're going to win a shit ton of money, Pixie. I just can't do it. I'm scared. I love Carson too. Cup or Woods, Cup for me. All right, next game, Cleveland, Dallas. Oh no, Jacksonville, Cincinnati. We can go quick. We're running out of time a little bit. Love Joe Burrow. Love Tyler Boyd. Love Joe Mixon. Love T. Higgins. Love AJ. I love Cincinnati. There you go. I'm not playing Drew Sample, Tyler Eifert. Not really into that. I am not into James Robinson as much, but his ownership is going way, way down. So if you do want to do that stack that we just saw from Lindsay, you could play James Robinson in that. DJ Chark is kind of the forgotten son right now. Hasn't done a whole lot this year. Priced up pretty high at $6K. Like he's the same price as Galladay. So if you wanted to pivot off of Galladay and stack up Cincinnati, Jacksonville, go ahead. But I love Joe Burrow this week. What do you got? Jacksonville is dead last in pass defense DVOA. Like that is advanced metrics that goes into that rating. Jacksonville is the worst passing defense in football. Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor are going to throw the ball 40-plus times. It's what they do. No one's talking about Joe Burrow, and I'm in.
Absolutely love Tyler Boyd today. We've been saying it for weeks that Joe Burrow absolutely loves slot receivers. Going back to his time at LSU, see absolutely no reason for that to not be the case today. Tyler Boyd's the main guy there. AJ Green's getting, slightly lower targets last week compared to the first 2 weeks, and he's not really doing much with them. So as much as we can keep hoping for some positive regression, for me, it's Boyd over AJ Green, although I do like both, but give me Boyd over him. No one's talking about James Robinson. He's been running like an absolute monster. Only 4 guys have more fantasy points per game than him in the first 3 weeks, and they're guys like Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, etc. So I get that he's an undrafted running back. People might be wary of trusting him, but the way that he's running out there, and you know what, he has excellent vision, catches the ball too. So although Chris Thompson did see a heavier dose of snaps last week, that was mainly because they got behind way too early, and because Chark was out as well, so they needed another player out of the backfield that would draw more attention from that linebacking core than James Robinson. But he did have 6 targets and caught all 6 of them last week, went for 80 yards. If that was a wide receiver, people would be happy with that floor, and that was aside from what he did on the ground, right? So I'm all over James Robinson this week. Chark back gives me faith in this in this Jacksonville offense. Even though he might not do too much damage, just the fact that he'll be drawing coverage opens it up for a guy like Keelan Cole, who struggled last week, being the number 1 wide receiver. This is similar to my Ravens take, where I know the offenses are nowhere near comparable, but I understand that Jacksonville had 1 bad week last week, but Minshew still had excellent weeks 1 and 2. Their offense put up 28 against Indianapolis, who some people agree that they're the best defense in the league right now. Minshew had no problem putting up 28 there. They put up 30 points against the Titans, who I think are much better defensively than the Bengals are. I'm not in it for a stack, but I do like Burrow to Boyd all day long, and give me all the James Robinson that I could get coming in at 5% on FanDuel.
Oh, son of a bitch. I did not want any James Robinson at all. But it makes sense now. I thought he was going to be super popular. But yeah, 5% owned, that is a play that is right at my alley, especially when I love Cincinnati. let's move on. Don't play Drew Sample anymore, guys. He's a blocker. Tried telling you that last week. Robinson or Singletary? Robinson, right? For sure.
Yeah. At least on FanDuel for me, it's Robinson. I have so much James Robinson that that's my play of the week.
James Robinson's minus 135 to score. I think Singletary actually has negative odds to score a touchdown today. He sure does. Minus 115. What a time to be alive. All right.
If we get an update that Zach Moss is out, then I guess you can go more Singletary than what you have right now. But I would keep up with that Zach Moss news.
Yeah, definitely. Cleveland, Dallas. I'm going to say it right now. I don't want anything to do with Dak Prescott. I'm going to be underweight on Zeke Elliott most likely, even though he's got just crazy props. So I don't know. I'll let you talk about that one. But I always love Nick Chubb, and my play of this game is going to be Mr. Jarvis Landry. Jordan Lewis is one of the worst cornerbacks in football. Lockett, what did he do last week? They're not the same player, not the same offense, but this dude can't cover and he can't tackle. So if Dallas can keep the pace going and score some points and make Cleveland throw the ball, Jarvis Landry should be in for a hell of a day. Odell Beckham's in a great spot too. This whole secondary for Dallas is just dreadful. And then you could obviously run it back with Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Gallup. I don't really need to talk about them. We know who they are. We know what this offense is. I do like Dalton Schultz a little bit. Cleveland is very lax against the tight end. I just worry about his, there's just so many mouths to feed. Like if Dalton Schultz was more like the 3,500, 3,600 range, that would be great for me on DraftKings, but he's 4,300. Not too expensive, but no one's talking about him, so I figured I'll do that. But what do you got? I think this is a Nick Chubb 2-touchdown game again.
Absolutely. He's the running back that I'm extremely overweight on GPPs. 2% owned on FanDuel. The amount of disrespect that the industry has for a guy like this going against Dallas's run defense absolutely blows my mind. If you are stacking Dallas, then make sure you're running it back with Nick Chubb or OBJ. Landry's in there for me too as well. Definitely a very good matchup out of the slot. My only concern is that he doesn't seem fully healthy coming off his offseason surgery, and his snap share count is trending towards below 60%. But he's a gamer. He's a guy that, especially over on DraftKings, he's a PPR gem in the fantasy industry. So I could definitely get down with it there. But given that, especially on FanDuel, he's in that same price range as guys like Michael Gallup and Tyler Boyd and whatnot. I do give the edge to guys like that, but coming in at roughly 5% owned, Jarvis Landry is a great Browns play as well. I'm on board with the Dak fade. It's our Kyler fade 2.0 from last week that worked out fairly well for us. I think this game has Zeke written all over it. Tyron Smith is back for the Cowboys. Look for them to run the ball as much as possible all over Cleveland. And I could get down with any one of these wide receivers. I do think Michael Gallup's in for another big game, maybe not replicated from what he did last week, but him or Cooper get the edge for me on the outside over CeeDee Lamb. And keep an eye on Ward, who might not play in this game. If somebody has an update on that as well. If he's not playing, then I will increase my Michael Gallup shares. But that's pretty much what I have for this game. Oh, and definitely on board with your Dalton Schultz call. Just too many mouths to feed there. I did have him in quite a few lineups before. Cleveland's a dumpster fire versus the tight end, but I'm just worried that they have like 7 guys that can produce. So
yeah, it's a really good game to stack up. I personally am just going to probably invest in Nick Chubb and hope this game gets slowed down because I have so much interest in that Cincinnati game, the Seattle Miami game, New Orleans Detroit. So many good games. I'm going to crack open a cocktail actually real quick. Never had one. I don't even like seltzers, but Press free advertisement today. I just don't want a beer this early, so we're going with a Press. Seems like a fruit drink, like something good in the morning. All right, next game. My absolute favorite. Minnesota at Houston in the Dome. I know we talked about games we need to get exposure to. To me, this is the game I want one player on each side of the ball in every lineup that I do. Desean Watson coming in at one of the highest plays on the quarterback model. He had such a tough schedule. His price down is at 6,600. He is a rushing quarterback. And remember what happened when we said Green Bay against Minnesota. Everybody's healthy for Houston. Will Fuller's good to go. Like this, let's go. Wheels up, Houston. And then on the other side, obviously Dalvin Cook, rock him. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, great spots. I don't want to play any of these tight ends. Both of these teams rock 2 tight ends: Irv Smith, Rudolph, Atkins, and then Fells. Not playing that game. Brandon Cooks, super, super popular, 16% owned, but he's 4,500. So this is back to Thomas's question on like ownership. It depends on the guy and like the price. So Brandon Cooks is like a free square at 4,500 against his secondary. Every single player, and Randall Cobb could even have a big game. Like I like this game is going to shoot out for sure. I don't care if Minnesota's going to be run heavy. They are not going to be able to stop anybody, and Houston's not going to be able to stop Dalvin Cook. So what do you got, Ghost? This is my favorite game. I prefer this over Miami, Seattle, Cleveland, Dallas, everyone. I prefer this one the most. Cheers. Go ahead.
I'm a little underweight on this game, a little worried about it, but that, you have to take a stance somewhere unless you're making, 600 lineups on both sides there. But this is a game that there's a lot of question marks for me. Bill O'Brien's taking over play calling for Houston. Worries me a little bit.
No, trust it, baby. Trust this game.
But if we're going strictly analytics, I'm 100% on board with you. I do like a Desean Watson, David Johnson, Will Fuller stack. I know Cooks is drawing a lot of ownership. Now I'm talking strictly FanDuel because you already covered DraftKings, but Cooks and Cobb are definitely in the conversation as well. But this is a stack that I don't mind going QB, running back, and one wide receiver, that being Will Fuller. If there's ever a game where he's going to go, 12 for 225 and 3 touchdowns, it's probably this game against this Minnesota secondary. Even though I think Houston wins this game, probably put up a bunch of points, I do like still running it back with Dalvin Cook. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see me get a notification that, what is this game at 1 or 4 Eastern?
No, it's noon. It's a noon game. Noon Central time. That's what we go by here. Come on.
Okay. Anyways, basically 5 minutes after the game starts, really wouldn't surprise me to see Dalvin Cook 80-yard rushing touchdown on my phone.
His prop, dude, his rushing prop's like 75 yards. What is that?
I'll probably break that on one play. Really wouldn't surprise me. This Houston defense can't stop anybody, and Kirk Cousins is probably going to look like Aaron Rodgers against this defense. So it's a game that has that has a lot of appeal. Go for the big names here with Cook on the Minnesota side, Will Fuller on Houston. It's 2020. Things are weird. Will Fuller is healthy. I don't know if there's anything more weird than Will Fuller still being healthy by week 4. So take advantage of it. Stack him up with Desean Watson. I'm all for it.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right. So it sounds like Ghost is not into this game as much as I am, but I just want you all to know I've never been so into one game as this one in a long time. So hopefully that's good. I would assume it's good, but I don't know. Again, run it back with Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, whatever you want to do. They're all in great spots. I'm not as much into Thielen because Roby's been a really, really good corner. I didn't think he was good. So go to what is his box score? So he shadowed Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek did nothing week 1 besides that garbage time touchdown that he shouldn't have even been on the field for. Who do you have after that? Hollywood Brown didn't do shit. Like Roby's a ball player, man. So I like Justin Jefferson now.
I did just make a Houston stack running it back with Dalvin Cook for you on FanDuel. So
I did another one and run it back with Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. This is the game stack. They're scoring 65 points. All right, next game, New York Giants, LA Rams. We do have a question here. All right, Watson, Cook, Johnson, and Fuller. Love it. Absolutely, Dre. I will probably have a lot of those lineups. Then do it every single variation you can. Like I'm trusting the model. Desean Watson is one of the top plays. Trust it. Stack them up as many ways as you can. I think it's the perfect way to go. And then get Dalvin on the other side or whatever you want to do. Dalvin's a nice pivot off of Alvin Kamara, Amara Cooper. What is that? Son of a bitch. All right. New York Giants, LA Rams. Disgusting game. I think Rams D is in an absolute great spot. I don't want to play Jared Goff. You can. New York's pass defense is second to last, right behind Jacksonville. So you could certainly do that. I just don't see the pace being pushed by New York at all. So it's kind of like the Lamar Jackson thing we were saying earlier, but Jared Goff doesn't run. So if you think the Rams get out early 30-0, Goff, Kupp, Woods, all those guys could have huge games. It's just likely to be a huge half. And Jackson. Who is Jackson? Watson.
Jefferson,
bro. Yeah, run Jefferson in there for sure. No, you can go that many. Game stack that son of a bitch up a lot. I love it. Yeah, you could have two Vikings, 3 Texans. Go ahead.
A question from Rocker for FanDuel, Robinson or Drake. Told you this last night. Please.
Sounds like you're on Rob.
Robinson all day. If there's ever a Drake matchup, it's against this Carolina run defense, but I'm putting my faith in James Robinson this week.
Rock on. All right. Anything for you on the Rams game? I just want a ton of Darrell Henderson. 13-point home favorite on the turf. They're not playing in New York at that shitty field of whatever's going on at MetLife. We always play 13-point, double-digit home favorite running backs. It's just always been a positive spot for fantasy production. That's pretty much all I'm doing in this game. And then you can maybe run it back with – I saw people around Golden Tate. Not for me. Slayton, he's dead to me after last week. Probably shouldn't have that type of emotion in DFS. Every week's a new week, but I'm out on him. I like Evan Ingram a little bit. I like him every week, though. I guess I'm an Evan Ingram truther. It's similar to Fuller. He's healthy, like playing while he's healthy, but it's just not working out. I don't know. But if they're chasing 20 points, Evan Ingram's got to do something, right? I mean, what did Buffalo have? 3 touchdowns last week from the tight ends? And just random-ass dudes who were Lee Smith and I don't remember.
Knox had a touchdown, too.
Knox was concussed, so they're 2 backups.
Yeah.
Lee Smith, whatever. We don't need to talk about Buffalo backup tight ends. But what do you got in this game? I just like Evan Ingram and Henderson.
Starts and ends with Darrell Henderson. For me, my only concern is that the Giants actually haven't been all that bad against the run, considering how much their defense blows.
Oh, you're right. Definitely. They really good run defense.
Their run defense is probably the shining light of that defensive scheme right now. But again, 14-point favorites. At one point, they're just going to force feed him the ball to the point where even if he gets, 20 to 25 carries and he's averaging a modest 3.5 yards per carry, and because of that stout run defense, I could still see him getting to 75 yards and a touchdown. Like you said, 14-point home favorite. I'm all for it. And then Rams D, I will mention them as well. Think they get to Daniel Jones quite a lot today. I'm expecting a big game from Aaron Donald there too. So,
what about Tyler Higbee? That's a good question, Jared. Like, that is a GPP type of play that me personally, I'm just completely overlooking. I just don't like the price, $5,700. Like, we're getting up to Andrew's price, and Gerald Everett has a ton of snaps and routes ran too. So it's like the double tight end thing. I just hate choosing, I hate choosing running backs in a timeshare, let alone tight ends in a timeshare. But yeah, I mean, we talked about how bad New York's secondary is. So, and the linebacking core is not good. So yeah, if you're feeling it, Higbee's got a really high ceiling. Absolutely. We've seen it. Ghost, any thoughts there, or should we move on?
Ownership's really interesting on FanDuel. I am overweight a little bit on Tyler Higbee. 6,000. His price is pretty modest there. He's in the same range as a lot of guys like Gesicki, like Hunter Henry, and that group. So he's not too expensive to the point where we're going up to Darren Waller or Mark Andrews. He's coming in roughly 2.5 to 3% owned. He's lower owned than guys like Jordan Akins, Evan Engram, Schultz, Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry. So I'm going for purely touchdown upside there, in the sense that, maybe Henderson gets stumped at the line with that Giants run defense and they just get a nice 3-yard fade to Tyler Higbee in the corner. So wherever I have Higbee, I'm not playing Henderson, because if Higbee is catching touchdowns, it's probably inside the 5 because Henderson's getting stuffed. So I wouldn't play both of them together, but I do have my bases covered there.
Yeah, that's a great analysis on those two. That's exactly what it is. Drake or Henderson and DDDs. GPPs? Gravity, what do you mean here? GPPs? I'm assuming GPPs. Has to be. No one can type today, including myself, so don't get it wrong. Like this Fire Rick Renneria sign, every letter is capitalized besides the R. I don't know how that happened. So whatever, we're all shit today. Yeah, to me, I like Henderson a little bit more. I love Drake too, though. Henderson's got some crazy odds to score. He's like minus 200 almost, and that's pretty eye-opening. Henderson, I can't spell. Let's see, what is he at? Henderson is minus 200 to score. Yeah, I will go with that. Drake is only like minus 150, so give me Henderson and GPPs. John Brown or Landry? Landry for me. Higbee or Waller? It's probably Waller. We'll get to that game in a bit, though. All right, Indianapolis, Chicago. I'm just going to say it now. I want nothing to do with Chicago. You could maybe play David Montgomery, see what his role increase should be without Tariq Cohen. You have any interest in this game? I'll talk about one player when you're done. Because
why is nobody playing Jonathan Taylor?
Fuck, that is it. That is my play of the week.
This guy last week was 40 to 45% owned. Everyone was on him. He's going to get 25 to 30 touches. You know, Phillip Rivers is old. They're not going to throw. Jonathan Taylor's going to run. Now all of a sudden, he's 5% owned on FanDuel. Why? Indianapolis's O-line is arguably the best in the league. Yes. This game has extreme weather concerns that the wind is apparently getting out of control. So they're going to run the ball a ton.
It looks nice out right now.
Chicago got torched by Adrian Peterson, who respect his legacy.
Todd Gurley, like Brian Hill.
They got torched by Todd Gurley, and more importantly, they got torched by Brian Hill. Why is nobody playing Jonathan Taylor? It doesn't make sense. He's coming in at 5% owned. It really would not surprise me to see this guy get 3 touchdowns today. Over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. I don't see how nobody's playing Jonathan Taylor right now.
I put him in the prop sheet to bet the 2 touchdowns. Every week, I think I'm 3 for 3 on that. So let's do it. I also put Latavius Murray in there. Don't bet that if you read that. I was probably on the bottle or something last night. Like, oh, Lat Murray, let's do it. Don't. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. Colts defense certainly in play. Their defense grades out extremely well. It's Foles' first start in the wind. Rock Ya-Sin's back, so Indianapolis' secondary is really good. Usually we're all about Allen Robinson. I want nothing to do with any Bear at all today. I'll have a couple lineups with Montgomery just because maybe he's a 3-down back now and getting some pass catching. Foles for 3 TDs. Theo, you're crazy, man. If it happens, though, I'll praise you forever. But no, I'm out on that. I mean, you could play Zach Pascal, I guess. 4,400. There's worse punts than that. I think it's him or Isaiah Ford for me for a punt wide receiver. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor, guys. Like, I'm just going to leave it at that. He is a core play. All right. Last game. Now that we have these other canceled games, which is great. Buffalo, Las Vegas. Ghost, you're the Buffalo man. What do we got? I see my one thing real quick. So sorry to cut you off before you even started is I'm so pissed because I love picking on Vegas's defense, but they did not keep the pace up in the Patriots game, and I had so much Cam Newton. I think you did too. We still did well, which is great. Thank you to Dalvin Cook. But what do we do with Josh Allen? Like, we got to play this guy, right? His floor is 35 points, and Stephon Diggs is in the juiciest match. I thought I was going to let you talk about it. Go ahead.
I will play Josh Allen. There's not a single week where I'm not playing Josh Allen. He's on a mission this season, and finally getting the respect he deserves, at least on FanDuel. He's coming in at 12% ownership after, first 3 weeks being 2 to 3% owned. Love stacking it with Diggs over John Brown. Cole Beasley also has a great matchup in the slot there too against our boy LaMarcus Joyner. So if you want to get creative with Cole Beasley, you can. But for me, it's Allen to Diggs multiple times today. Running it back with either Darren Waller or Hunter Renfrow. I'm cool with either one of them. Buffalo's been absolutely torched in the slot. Crowder went 7.
Teron Johnson, baby. Teron Johnson is so bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. Crowder 7, 115 and a touchdown. Gesicki 8, 130 and a touchdown. In that same game, Isaiah Ford went 7 for 76, so 200 yards plus. The slot receivers there, and Cooper Kupp went 9 for 107 and a touchdown in week 1. They can't guard the slot. I'm cool with going Waller or Renfro because of Waller's ownership. Now that we're speaking about a Buffalo GPP stack, Waller coming in at 25% owned is a little bit too high for me. I'd much rather take Hunter Renfro at 2% there and hope that Waller ends up blocking a little bit more because he's not 100% healthy. Dodge the chalk, gain advantage over the field with Hunter Renfro, and just let Josh Allen carry you to a boatload of money again.
I'll go Fernando Rodney for this take with the hat. Josh Jacobs, super unknown today. I'm seeing 10%. I don't know how anybody could put him in a lineup, but like if you don't want to go, well, you do want to go with Jonathan Taylor, but you could get Josh Jacobs too. Buffalo is 26th in run DVOA. The guy doesn't leave the field this year. I love that. I think Josh Jacobs is in a great spot to run it back on the other side of your Buffalo stacks. Yes. And then, it's cool. It's definitely cool to run Renfro. I love picking on Teron Johnson. Cooper Kupp ate him up last week. Cooper Kupp's a much better player, but with no Brian Edwards, no Henry Ruggs, like what else are you going to do? So Tre'Davious White, some wide receiver cornerback matchups out there say Tre'Davious White is going to cover Hunter Renfro. I don't know if Tre'Davious White has ever played the slot ever, so I don't. That's what's wrong with computer automated projections is shit like that, because Hunter Renfro is not going to the outside. He's going to play the inside and tear up Teron Johnson. That is who's on the inside, not Zay Jones, if anybody else is looking at what I am. But, yeah, I love it. I think Josh Allen and Diggs are a great stack. The ownership's not crazy on Allen. It's getting up there, though, at 12%, but it's impossible to fade this guy right now with what he's doing. He just tore up the Rams defense, who's pretty solid. Zach Moss out today. I don't know. It sounds like he is doubtful, right?
Yeah, he hasn't practiced all week, so or at least he's been limited. He hasn't been actually running. He hasn't been running the football. He's mostly just been working out on his own. The last time I saw, so keep a close eye on that. I haven't seen anything since, but I will check now.
All right, Dre's got a great question. Jacobs over Robinson for me, yes. I know Ghost is going to disagree, but Ghost, this is for her or the Buffalo stack. What do you got? I'd rather have Jacobs in the Buffalo stack for sure. But Robinson,
if you're stacking Buffalo 100%, you need somebody to run it back. For DraftKings, I'm off Jacobs on FanDuel a little bit. This is where we kind of discussed that your plays don't necessarily have to translate from site to site. Josh Jacobs is coming in 20%. He's in the same range as Dalvin Cook. So that's a little bit high for my liking for Josh Jacobs when Jonathan Taylor's there at $500 cheaper at 5% owned versus Jacobs at 20. But if you are stacking Buffalo, run it back with Jacobs 100% or Renfro, Waller, any one of these guys. But in that lineup specifically, Jacobs over Robinson for sure.
All right, QBs, top quarterback in general, top GPP quarterback. Who you got?
Top quarterback, I will go with Russ, and then GPP quarterback. Give me, crazy to say that this guy's a GPP quarterback, but give me Lamar.
Well, right, that is pretty crazy. I need some more Lamar. Top quarterback for me, Desean Watson. Top GPP. It's going to be a tie between Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow. Running backs, top RB, top GPP RB.
Top running back, if you're going ownership, give me Kamara. I do think Cook outscores him today, but give me Kamara based on ownership. Top GPP, Jonathan Taylor, James Robinson. I have that duo everywhere.
Kamara and Taylor for me. Love Taylor. Wide receiver, top GPP wide receiver.
Top wide receiver, give me Lockett round 2 this week again. If he goes off. All right. And then top GPP wide receiver. Let me see who I'm overweight on here.
Jonathan, yes. Love that. If you can make this work real quick, Taylor over Drake, yes. That absolutely is the sexiest to. Oh man, love that. Enjoy the free money there.
Top GBP wide receiver, give me Tyler Boyd.
Ooh. Fuck, you took mine. I can't say Jarvis.
If you want me to switch, I could go Galladay.
No. Because Joe Burrow's my dude, so it makes sense that I'm on Boyd as well. Top wide receiver. I'm gonna go with Metcalf. He's cheaper than Loggett, and I think they got a rookie corner on Metcalf today, and that is going to be a problem. Top GPP wide receiver. I'm gonna go with son of a bitch. Give me AJ Green at 5,500. We didn't talk about him enough. As much as we love Boyd, AJ Green isn't just as good as a spot. And then a little honorable mention to Justin Jefferson. Tight end. Top tight end. Top GPP tight end. I know the second one. So who's your top tight end?
Top tight end.
They could be both. I know what you want to say. You could say it. We're all here. We're all friends.
I'll let you take your boy. So give me Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson.
All right. Top tight end for me is the Hall of Famer Mike Gesicki. And then Logan Thomas is great too, just for the price. I like Evan Ingram. But yeah, Mark Andrews at 5% ownership. Absolutely. Then I'm going to fade Darren Waller. 100% I'm off Darren Waller. Not doing it. He's 20% owned on DraftKings. Matt Milano and Trey Edmonds are healthy for Buffalo. I don't know if that matters enough. I just hope that they watched. Buffalo kind of has been like a copycat defense of New England over the years. I would assume they watch a shit ton of film and be like, all right, Vegas couldn't do anything when they were jamming Waller at the line. So I don't know. Unless they want to hire me to be their defensive coordinator, that's what I would do. Waller at 20% ownership is just absolutely batshit crazy, in my opinion. It's one of the easiest fades on the board for me. But that is it. Unless you want to talk defense, I don't ever want to talk defense. You get on that.
Play Ravens, play the Rams on FanDuel. Don't get cute with it. There's a bunch of chalky defenses that should not be chalk. And if you are punting on defense, we haven't gotten this question explicitly, but if you are punting defense, you want guys that are going to be in up-tempo matchups. Because if you're saying who's going to allow the least amount of points, they're all going to allow a ton of points. Just get guys in up-tempo matchups, guys that can get sacks, get interceptions. Yes, it sucks that they're on the field more, but the more that they're on the field, the more chance that they have to get some points and possibly get a defensive touchdown for you. So if you are punting defense, that's the strategy that I usually take.
All right. See if there's any other questions. So with Moss out, do I add Singletary to my Buffalo stack? I think you could. I don't think you have to. There's just so many other good running backs around that 6K spot. Don't jam in Singletary, but I do like him a lot. One way I think Singletary is due for a 60-plus yard touchdown run. That is a bold call. Let's get out of here, though. Good luck today, guys. And remember my bold calls to hold me accountable. What was it? O.J. Howard touchdown. Isaiah Ford, 2.5x, and who was my 3x guy? I already forgot. Oh, Travis Homer. Shit. Yeah, he's doing it. All right. Nelson Aguilar will have one touchdown. Oh, no, come on. Tre'Davious White's probably on him, and he'll drop a touchdown if he got it. Henderson or Drake stacked with Cook. Both, right? Whatever way. I don't think that answer is going to change your lineup too much. Do you, Ghost?
No, not really. Give me Henderson with the touchdown equity. Kyler running them in really worries me. At one point, it's going to stop, but I don't know if it stops this week. So give me the 14-point home favorite in Henderson.
All right. I like it. I'm with Henderson too. All right. Peace, folks. Thanks for joining.